What's up and good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. This is part 792 of the Rhino Ranch deck project. And before we jump into this video, I want to address one thing, and I probably shouldn't give any attention to any of the negative comments. However, I just want to put into perspective like the real lifeness of my YouTube channel. Everybody's saying like this whole series should be done by now. This thing should have been done in like 3 videos and that's it. Problem being is everybody wants 2 videos a week. Actually, everybody wants more than that. When I'm spending all week building this deck, and trust me, I think this deck has also taken much longer than it should have, but we don't build decks. So this is all new to me, and my OCD wants things freaking perfect, so it takes a little bit longer. But we've been working on this for 3 weeks, and I've been actively here every day for 3 weeks working on this deck. So to still put out 2 videos a week, they're gonna end up being on the deck. I don't know what to tell you. And unfortunately, a couple of negative comments stand out to all the hundreds of great comments that you guys post. So I apologize for even giving those attention, but I just wish people like would try to do this for a day. Try to actually build something and film it and edit videos and consistently post, because I bet like that would shut a lot of people up really quick. It's not as easy as it sounds. Trust me on that one. But we were making great progress though. Look, we're starting to go down the sides. We just ran out of material yesterday. Otherwise this whole thing would be done. I'm hoping today, if my Home Depot run goes well, and I'm bringing the camera along this time for this Home Depot run to see if, you know, if it's a crap show or not, but we're gonna go pick up the rest of the material. I've got my pool vacuum showing up today. The steps for the pool are here and we need to get those installed, so gonna be making some good progress in this video. But let's jump in the 6.0. We'll get it fired up, get all these straps and everything off. I'm going to a better Home Depot today that, from what I've seen, has much more competent forklift operators, so hopefully we get one of those today. All right, well, we're starting off not that great. Apparently the guy, when I placed my will call order yesterday, he placed it to get picked up at 7 p.m. today. Normally they always put it for 7 a.m. So I don't know what happened there, but right as I showed up, one of the guys was like, oh, I was actually just going back to pick that order. Unfortunately, there's not enough on the shelf, so I got to go try to find one of the units in the back where it's buried. So we're just casually hanging out, waiting.
Yeah, that's good right there. Cool. That works. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all, this Home Depot, much better. You can see he actually brought it out and kept the packaging on it to keep them from sliding back and forth as well. And banded it extra tight for me, unlike the schmuck at the last Home Depot. Much better experience today. We're gonna make some good progress. Well, we made it back to the ranch. The pool robot cleaner has shown up. I opted to go with a plug-in style, which I know some people might freak out about. It's kind of older school technology. Obviously we can't run just like a suction one because of the way that the pump system is set up here. And then they do make cordless ones. The problem with the cordless ones is they only run for like hour and a half, and you got to remember to pull them out and charge them all the time, which we got, you know, me with maintenance, I'm not the best. So this actually has a control box here. You can leave this in the pool and you can set it to run on whatever days that you want it to run, how long you want it to run, and all that. Basically, it works like a normal fully suction in the ground pool cleaner. However, we don't have to set it up like that. So really, you can change the filter every couple of days or clean the filter out. But as you can see in the bottom of the pool, there's like pockets of dirt and dust. Obviously we live on a ranch, plus all the construction. I think the construction around the pool is what's making it the dirtiest, but this should keep it clean. It is rated for above ground pools. It does have tracks and it will climb the sides, I believe. Eventually I'll have outlets probably stationed around here so this thing can live plugged in full time. This cannot be out in the weather. It's water resistant but not waterproof, so I'll probably have a little housing or a deck box that this lives in. So let's get it hooked up. Go for her maiden voyage. Plug it in. It's got a sweet little 2-prong connector there that goes in which way? That way. I also got, they've got the regular filter, which actually looks like a very fine mesh, and then I got the ultra fine filtration basket, which I'm assuming is a tighter mesh. All the reviews said just buy the ultra tight whatever right out the gate. Well, there you go. It looks like a freaking car air filter. Stay. I said stay. 1, 2, or 3. feel like 3. Just always go 3, whatever that means. Is it moving? Oh, it's moving. She's crawling. There you go. Do your thing. Look, it's already cleaning. Look, it's spotless underneath. The one thing I like about it is it has a scrub brush. Because the dust, when I was using, I have a handheld vacuum. When I was using that, it doesn't like to suck up sometimes. So you have to get in there and brush it first and kind of agitate it. That thing, that whole pass it just did right there. Oh, it's climbing the sides. You see that? It's climbing the sides. It fell off the sides. But you know what? Hey, it goes up high enough. These 2 side pieces have been a nice break from having to do this giant section full of 16 footers. They end up being, well, we're cutting them long because we're going to put our edge detail in, but they're about 5 foot and they have about a 1 degree angle cut into them off of 90 basically. So on the miter saw, we've got it set to 1 degree, and that is giving us the perfect joint all the way down the edge of the coping side. Again, we know nothing here is perfectly square, so I honestly thought that dimension was going to be a lot worse than it is, but to be just a degree off, not too bad. Now, we don't know what's going to happen when we get past the edge of the pool. We're going to see if we need to splice in a little bit of a rip, which is probably what's going to end up happening. But I've cut all the pieces that I can cut now from what we have left over. Now we need to unload the truck. Okay, now we got to make the pieces that go around the base of our little pergola. So basically all I do is line this up where she goes, get my spacing right on my joint, make sure we're nice and square, and then again we have to leave room on the sides for expansion, so we'll eyeball about 3/16 there. Same on the inside. This one's just going to be a little bit of a sliver on the inside. And there we'll pull our measurement. What do we got? 3 1/4. We'll come back 3 3 1/4, 2 1/16. There we go. From there, line our board up there. Put me right on the edge where you give me a spacer or something. Give us our 3/16 gap for the front. Right. Then we square over, measure back 1 3/4, and since we already moved this away from here 3/16, we just do our true measurement, which was again 1 3/4. 1 and...
Put those in.
All right, so there's our piece. We are cutting all of that out, and that'll leave us that little sliver to go inside of there. This long piece will sit right there, and then we'll have our notch for the 2x6. And we're not worried about the backside because again, we're going to end up cutting all of this down and putting an edge piece here. So then we'll have to do the backside cut on that edge piece. Alrighty, there we go. Let's go see how she fits. The only thing is, cutting that little sliver is we are past where the slot is in the side of the board. However, nobody's ever going to be stepping inside of the actual portion right there, so I think we'll be okay. Slide her in, and I think we're looking pretty golden right there. We'll take that, we'll take that. Now we gotta make another one. Alrighty, let's pick up the last batch of decking. I will say having the tractor is nice because it reaches so far out onto the center of the trailer. And because this guy actually listened, unlike the other Home Depot, these are all banded together. So we should be good to go and not lose any this time. All right, real steady. We gotta go up this slope right here. Tractor's not gonna like. Hopefully she don't slide off and then destroy the mini truck, because the tractor's gonna be pitched like this right now. And we've got the load real high. We're gonna put her in 4-wheel drive so we can crawl up this. So down here by my foot is a lever that engages the rear differential. That's what we just had to do, and it got me up. And Paparano, for whatever reason, likes to keep walking underneath this. Not a good idea. There she blows.
Right.
You might just want to leave that on. It'll keep any wild ones from sliding that way. So there we do. We just don't want to drag them across the deck. Yeah, we probably might as well. All right, we've got all the cuts done on that side. So while they're finishing putting them in, and it actually ended up getting dang near perfect to the corner. So we actually don't have a rip in this side, which is great. But on this side, the guys got a little bit ahead of me and they buried slash put in blocking right where I want to put another pergola. We're gonna match that one or do something similar. So I came in with the Sawzall, cut them out. Now I'm gonna try to pull these screws out using the old school method because they're using my impact over there. I don't know if it's gonna work on 3-inch screws. Oh, let's see. Oh, not bad, not bad. It's just, they just don't want to let go. Oh, there we go. Come on. All right, that was not bad at all. Oh, I shouldn't have pushed that through. Just in case that cuts a little out of whack. Oh, there we go. All right, now we got a pocket for a 4x. Grab us one of the 4xs. Hopefully these things haven't gotten too twisted, laying here for a few days. I think I got some 12-footers, not 10s. I ain't gonna be able to get up there to hammer this thing down, that's for sure. Well, I'll be able to get them to, oh, it might just walk its way down. All right, come on. Well, y'all, yesterday we had our first official little mini pool party, even though the deck is only 3/4 done, but everything went great. We installed some steps. They're not fully bolted down yet because I don't know if this is where I want them. They're not the most beautiful steps in the world. However, they do kind of match the decking almost perfectly. In the instructions, it says you got to add 40 pounds of sand. So we filled the inside with sand. We did about 40 pounds and they still float a little bit. You can kind of see how they kind of float. You can pick them up. I think once we bolt them to the deck, it'll be better. However, I don't want to do that until we decide this is exactly where we want them. Pool worked great. We had a ton of people in the pool, a bunch of floaties, all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm glad we decided to go with the 32x16 instead of the smaller Intex pool because of how much space we had with everybody in it. The other thing we added, because it was so hot, is we added some misters to the porch over here. I'm gonna go turn those on. These were a very, very nice addition. I was hesitant on buying misters on Amazon because if you ever look at like real restaurants that have misters, it's like a $1,200 setup for a small setup to get like the real pump and all that stuff, and to get that real fine mist. But these Amazon ones we bought for 50 bucks. The hosing has fallen a little bit from the heat. Yesterday it was actually all tucked up nice and you couldn't see it, so I'm gonna have to remedy that because I hate seeing all the little hoses drop down. But these things are freaking awesome. They've got little brass nozzles, they're adjustable, point them which way you want them. And they work great to cool the patio down, keep the flies away, and just cool off in the sun. So this was an awesome addition that we added, just, you know, a little step-by-step to make Rhino Ranch Resort out here. I am so ready for this deck to be done, at least on the Trex portion of it, but we're in the last final stretch. We now have to put the coping on this side. Don't mind my hands full of tools. Let's set this down and not drop that drill bit right through the decking. There we go. Now you'll see I've run a string line down the edge. And what a lot of people will try to do is actually just measure this little overhang and try to keep it consistent down the line. Well, if there's anything that's kind of out of whack in the framing down below, it's gonna make your top board do this, and we don't want any snakes around here. So instead, we run a string line from where this corner of the miter is to the other corner over there, and then we know for sure visually this board is gonna look straight. You can see it's out of whack right now. It's just because it's been sitting here and kind of warped in the sun, but we'll pull that bad boy back into somewhat straight. Remember, there's layers to construction, right? You start with your rough framing, and it's called rough framing for a reason. And then you go with drywall, and drywall hides a little bit of the rough framing, kind of feathers it out with some mud. And then you go to cabinets, and then you go to fine carpentry, and each layer gets more and more precise and slash or hides any imperfections that the last layer may have left. Same thing with decking. I ran through and pulled all these boards up and cut them to a chalk line that we had snapped. Doesn't mean they're anywhere near perfect. So if this 2x6 that runs along here is like this and we match it by measuring just our gap underneath the coping, we're gonna be like this as well. It's much better to string a line, risk our overhang being a little less in some areas, but when you walk over here, what are you gonna see more of? You're gonna see this edge. Like if we come down and look at this edge of the coping, she looks dang near perfectly straight because we run a string line down there. So we'll be doing the same on this side. Yep. That's all she wrote. Now you guys can see with that string line, we've got a nice, perfectly straight edge, which will also make it easier when we go to slap our next set of boards up against it. We're not fighting coping that's going like that. And just like that, y'all, we have essentially finished the decking except for the trim board that's going to go around the edge. This is the first time now you can kind of see how little bit out of square the deck was. Thankfully, none of it showed around the pool because that's where visually you would have seen it. This cut ended up, I mean, it just worked out perfectly on our joints to where there wasn't like a weird rip that had to go here. If this board would have ended up a little bit past, we would have had to finagle some stuff. I probably would have ripped these shorter ones down, honestly. So this was a whole piece, but this could have been bad for not really planning it. It actually almost worked out perfectly. But you'll see here, we've got probably 4.5 inches there and probably 2.5 inches down there, so she's a little bit out of square, but I think by the time we put some type of fascia board, there's plenty for the board down there to sit on. We'll kind of approach that as we get to it. Next step, we're going to finish the pergolas. I'm not going to cut for this trim board because honestly I'm nervous about it. This is a lot of material I could ruin if I cut this crooked and weird. I'm going to try to get Dave out here. He's got a Festool track saw, which I think is our best bet at getting a nice straight cut on this edge so we can slap in a piece of trim board like so. This piece will have a miter in it. I forgot to actually show you guys what we did here. So I trimmed some of the stone. You'll kind of see right here, I came in with a diamond blade and I cut it so this kind of sits on top. Going down here, we did a little trim right there on that piece of stone. Basically just kind of cut the wall to where this would fit up underneath some of the stone, so it looks really clean. There is a little bit of a gap in some of these spots, but it's really no big deal. It actually turned out way nicer than I thought this whole side was going to be. And then over here where the deck starts to come out of the ground a little bit, because remember this wall is not level, we just took a piece of decking, put it on there, and then once we have our trim board in, you won't see the bare framing. You will see just, you know, gray decking, so it'll look nice and tidy. Next step, we're gonna bring some water lines over here. So we have spigots for the float valve, which will be an autofill. Should the pool level start to drop, it'll automatically fill up. Plus, I feel like we should have a spigot or two around here. Maybe we add misters over here. So we need water to get to the deck. So that's what we're gonna do tomorrow, and a few other things. And again, probably finish the pergola, or maybe finish both pergolas. We'll jump back on in the morning. Well, this morning is starting off pretty interesting. We are trying to find the big 1-inch water line that we ran out to the Rhino Ranch entrance project. And for everybody asking about that project, because they get comments all the time, so if you guys see people asking about it, please feel free to comment and let them know. We are waiting on paperwork from the city for the entrance. That's the reason we have not moved forward. I cannot do anything until we are fully finalized with the paperwork. That's why we have not been working on the entrance. So if you guys see those comments, I get them on every single video. Please feel free to comment back to the people asking and just let them know. But anyways, we want to tie off of this 1-inch water line because number one, it's got a ton of pressure, and we're going to use the same tee that we're going to tee off to not only feed the spigots for the deck, but we're gonna run them all the way around, and we're gonna mount them to our fence that runs on, well, that side of the property. That way we have big pressure and big water going over there if we need to put fire sprinklers on the fence and or fight fires from that side of the fence. We'll have spigots everywhere, conveniently located. We're not trying to run out 200 or 300 feet of hose. Problem being is, we gotta find where that 1-inch line is. Now, we think we know. You can see me and Abel have spent the morning digging like a, I don't even know at this point, a 15-foot long trench, trying to cross it at some point. It's in here somewhere. It's just a matter of where. I've watched videos, I've looked at pictures, and we're trying to pinpoint, like I can see this tree in my pictures and in my videos. And then you'll notice, it might not show up on camera, but there's like a little divot where we backfilled everything and the rain kind of filled it up a little bit, and it sunk just like an inch or two. So we've been trying to chase that, and we put a marker on top of it. We put some caution tape a little bit above the pipe, so we know if we hit caution tape, the pipe is directly below it. It's just a matter of where that is in this area. So we've been digging for a while looking for it. Hopefully we find it soon. Hey! Ian. Okay, now that we know where the pipes are, I'm going to dig, well, we already dug that way. We're gonna dig about 8 feet in each direction. That way, when we slice the pipe, Abel can pick it up to put that T-coupler in, because it is a pain in the butt if you only dig a little bit on each side of the pipe to get a coupling on there, unless you're using a slip fix, but we don't want to use that. So we're just gonna dig in both directions. While Abel's getting everything cleaned up around those pipes, I decided to come over to the fence line and start trenching so we can run our 1-inch water line over here. But this dirt, if you guys remember when we put the fence in, is so dang hard. The excavator's just skipping over the top of it. I've been here for probably 30 or so minutes, and all I've gotten is, I don't even know, 10 feet. This stuff is so freaking hard. Literally, that's pulling all the way back, trying to give her all the beans, and it just will not cut through this. So I basically have to use the teeth, and then I'm just scraping this little channel until I eventually get deep enough and I can break off the edges of the channel that you see right there. It's really the only way to get down. I normally like to bury my water lines and really anything out here super, super deep. That way if we ever run through here with tractors and stuff, we don't accidentally hit anything. But this one might end up only being, you know, 12 to 14 inches deep, because this is all I can do. Dude, this dirt is so brutal. I've been at it for like well over an hour, and we got maybe 40 something feet. And then in a strange turn of events, it has started raining pretty decently. We're under a tree right now, but if we come outside, let's see. It's kind of letting up now, but it started raining pretty freaking good. This stuff is rock hard. I mean, look at how freaking smooth that face is when the teeth are just digging into it. It's also not great to be doing, you know, we're doing trenching for a 1-inch PVC line with a 16-inch bucket. One of these days, I'll end up purchasing something smaller, a little trenching bucket or a 12-inch bucket, but nowadays, like a 12-inch bucket is $1,000. So I haven't quite justified that yet. I'll just, you know, backfill a little bit more. But going through really tough stuff, you want a smaller bucket. Because obviously, like, the smaller area that's making contact with the dirt, the more PSI it is and the more it's going through it. This is kind of brutal. This is very boring and taking forever. I think once we get to like the tree area right there, it's going to get softer, I hope, and I really hope. Oh, my fingers are crossed that once we go around the side of the house over there, it is so much softer. Okay, so I was digging next to that dead tree right there, and I'm obviously digging out some of the roots on the backside because that's where we're going to be putting one of the spigots. And I was like, let me give this tree a little push. It's been dead for quite some time, and I just gave it a little nudge, and I can see the entire tree kind of wanting to go. So I figured now is as good a time as any to just push this thing over, hopefully moving the Bronco out of the way just to be safe. But if we get a big windstorm and that thing's that loose and I just dug out some of the roots on the backside, I don't want that thing coming down when we're not ready for it to come down. Alrighty, well, she is down, and that was with the quickness. This thing was barely in the ground. You can see there's the entire root structure that was holding this thing in. That depth right there. These are all rotted out. I mean, I'm surprised this thing hasn't fallen sooner. I think the fact that it was wedged in between all these trees held it up. I mean, look at this. We don't even have a big old hole or anything. That was my biggest fear, is this thing was going to fall. This giant root ball was going to come up and smack the fence, but there is yeah, very little ground disturbed there. This thing was barely hanging on for dear life. It's hardwood. This will be some good firewood, some good pine. Oh, she is dense, very dense. Rhino's got the Sawzall, just cutting at least one more piece off, and these will all be manageable pieces for the Mini X. There she is. That one's probably next. Got a lot of holes in it. Alrighty guys, now that we are past that section up there, it is back to somewhat easy digging, which I'm very thankful for, because we have pretty much wasted the entire day out here trying to dig this one trench. And it's still not super soft, but it's a heck of a lot better than where we were. Well, we'll show you guys how far Abel got. He was digging from there all the way over to here. And again, it's much nicer using just the roto hammer, because then we're only, what is he, 8 inches wide, 10 inches wide, just as wide as the shovel, versus having to go 16 with the bucket on the excavator. I don't want to dig any of this with the excavator because our septic hole area is all right in there, and I don't want to risk damaging any of that because that's kind of important. Coming back over to this side, again, we're gonna basically run under the deck. We'll run on top of the dirt. There's no point in really going underground. This will all be shaded from the sun, and then we'll put some gravel over top here. Then from here, we'll do a little bit of this by hand. We'll get down into my trench. And what's crazy is I did all of this all the way around. Hopefully you guys can still see. Don't know where the heck the GoPro's pointed. All the way up to where we removed that tree in about a third of the time or less than it took me to dig that first section that was super, super hard. It's insane how hard the dirt is out here, but there's like veins of it, and in some spots you get like right here, which are very soft. I did notice we've got some sprinkler lines right here that we went through. And what's crazy is every tree you see on this property used to be irrigated. But over the years with tractors and stuff, I guess they had gotten ripped out prior to us moving in. And there used to be an orchard right here with a bunch more citrus trees like the ones you see behind us. So I'm assuming that's what this went to. I mean, this has all been clearly abandoned, but I'm betting that came off the house, and then this kind of irrigated the citrus orchard that was right here. Now, I was hoping we'd be able to finish the pergolas on the pool. However, I did not anticipate hitting all of this really, really hard dirt and then the rain and all that, and we just spiraled from there. So unfortunately, we're gonna call a wrap on this video, which is good because all the guys that complained that I'm milking this whole series and taking way too long, even though I'm doing it in real time and real life, I'm sure they're actually like the first guys that click on the video, even though it's the exact same title, and they know what they're clicking on to complain. So when they come into this video, now we'll give them something to complain about. The fact that we are wrapping up as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've not subscribed already, please click the subscribe button now. That you do not miss out on any future content. And don't forget to give this video a like and get a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out workforapparel.com, because if there's anything you want in this life, you gotta be willing to work for it. You guys are the best. I'm out.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.